Hachette Audio presents The Moment of Tenderness, written by Madeleine L'Engle, read by Caitlin Davies. Introduction written and read by Charlotte Jones Voigtlis.
Introduction. I was about 9 years old, curiously but quietly poking about my grandmother Madeleine L'Engle's manuscripts, so as not to disturb her writing and risk losing the privilege of keeping her company in her ivory tower while she worked. The tower was just a room over the garage in the 18th century New England farmhouse where she and my grandfather had lived and raised 3 children during the 1950s, and where they still spent weekends, holidays, and long stretches of summer. I'm not sure who christened it the tower, but the name was used ironically by both her and the rest of the family, an acknowledgement of the privilege of solitude and time. The manuscripts I was poking about in were housed in repurposed ream boxes, with words like Eton and Caressable Bond on the sides, and in black 3-ring binders whose leather casings were beginning to crack. There were dozens of boxes and binders, including ones with A Wrinkle in Time, The Arm of the Starfish, and A Wind in the Door written on them. But I wasn't interested in the manuscripts of stories that could be read as real books. I was more curious about the scraps and stories and studies in the other boxes. I came across Gilbert Must Play Bach in one of those. I'm not sure why I stopped to read this particular one, but I liked the French name in the title and the imperative. The story was strange to me and sad, and although the girl in the story was named Claudine, I understood it to be autobiographical. The sadness of the story and its unresolvedness shook me and gave me a glimpse at the depth of things we might discover about the people we love. When my grandmother died in 2007, there were papers and manuscripts distributed among 3 different houses and an office. It's taken time to organize and inventory those materials, and it's also been a considerable emotional journey for me to read, assess, and come to the decision that these stories should be shared publicly. When I read Julio at the Party, an onion skin manuscript held together with a rusty paper clip and folded in half, tossed in a box of artifacts, books, and papers, I thought at first that the story must be by some other writer who had given it to her in a class or over tea or coffee for comment. However, on a second read I recognized details, the nickname horrors, the malapropisms of the title character, that can...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?